going now. How's everybody doing? This is the Rutgers Voice of College Football YouTube account, and we are live here with you Monday at 7 p.m., as well as every Monday at 7 p.m. I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, Donovan Gibbs. Unfortunately, Adam can't make it this week due to a personal reason. He's okay. He'll be back next week, just can't make it this week. But today we're going to be talking about Donovan's game for LIU against Sacred Heart. We're going to be talking about Rutgers against Norfolk State last week again, get some more takes from that. And then we're going to be previewing our first big test of the year where we are the underdogs against Iowa. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Donovan, any key takeaways from week 3 against Sacred Heart? I'm sure you have a bunch. So.
I will say more takeaways have been that us as a unit, we just have to continue finishing strong. That's been one of the things that we've been focusing on coming into the year, and we were able to show that against Eastern Michigan, and we kind of slipped away from that mindset against Sacred Heart because we were able to start off at a very high pace, and that pace started to slow down throughout the game. And it's just one of those games where you have the mindset of you don't want to let it beat you twice. We playing against a top qualified FCS team in Rhode Island this year, a team that we took down to the wire last season. So we're not far off from what Rhode Island has shown this year. And I'm excited to go on the road and be able to go through this 3-game road stand, because these 3 games are going to matter a lot in regards to how our season is going to unfold for the rest of the year, because we're in a really good spot right now. Typically, we don't see early success throughout my first couple of years here. So being able to be in that space where we're able to see that early success and recognize that we're able to really control a lot of these games, there's a lot of positives to take away from it. So overall, we're just looking towards Rhode Island to just try to get a win and just be able to let all the noise that came from last weekend's game just put it in the back burner and be able to just focus on this road stand. This road trip.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the stats. Not too many passing attempts, but when you guys rushed the ball, you did phenomenal. That's between Luca Stanzani and O'Shawn Ross Jr. That's 24 carries for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was that like a emphasis for you guys heading into the week?
100%. We love to run the ball, and that's been one of the things that we've been taking advantage of for the last couple of years. OJ was able to have his breakout game for the most part. I would say last week's game against EMU, we were able to see a lot of players shine, not just in the running back room. So this is really a game where Luca was able to show out with that long touchdown he had the first play of the game, and just seeing OJ being very successful, and just the way the offensive line has been so far this year. We've been a really close-knit unit, and we've been able to see a lot of success in the running game. Another week of no procedural penalties, another week of averaging more than 5 yards a carry. So that shows a lot of success in that we're able to take advantage of first down situations and stay on schedule. Yeah. We just got to keep on doing that, because I know a lot of teams are preparing to stop us in the run, and we just got to keep on playing our game, and that's been the running game.
Yeah, so when Luca was taking off, was it mostly designed runs, or was it not seeing anyone and making that decision?
Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's just design runs. We are I would say, an option-heavy team. So being able to have that ability with our quarterbacks, being able to be mobile, whether it's by improvisation or by scheme design of the play, it's very effective. And that we have a lot of speed on the perimeter with guys like Dion and guys like OJ, guys like Jaden Simpson as well. So we're able to have that ability to run the ball, not just between the tackles, but we're able to take advantage sideline to sideline, which is going to be able to open up a lot of this passing game coming in the season. And we have a lot of season left, and I just know these guys are just going to keep on getting better and better, because we've just been feeling like that as a group, that we're just getting closer and closer to reaching like our full ability.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys do for the rest of the year. And I'm excited about Rutgers too for the rest of the year. We just finished our third game. It was against Norfolk State, another home game. So we had 3 straight home games to start the year. Took care of business, 3-0. We beat them 60-10, which that's a 50-point win, and it seems like it's lopsided. Whether you want to call that inferior competition or you want to call that taking care of business or exceeding expectations. What did you take away from that game?
I saw it as another week of this offense being able to produce at a high level. It showed that Ethan Killicamakis, my
I like
apologies,
Dennis, yeah.
has been playing out of his mind throughout these first 3 games, averaging over 270 yards through the air, being very, very consistent in the passing game, being able to be very efficient as well, having really good completion percentage in all 3 games. He only missed, I think he only missed 4 passes against Ohio, and 8 passes against Miami of Ohio, and then yesterday,
Yeah, 8 again.
Saturday, he completed 72% of his passes. So it shows that the Rutgers team, especially at quarterback, is looking very, very strong to start the year, and there's a lot of confidence. KJ Duff as well, his first ever 100-yard receiving game. He was able to have 6 receptions for 116 yards, and that connection between Ethan and KJ is going to be major, especially come Big Ten play, because out of all the receivers that Rutgers have, whether it's DT Sheffield, who's able to open up the field with his speed, or Ian Strong, who's currently dealing with injury, but when he comes back, he's a very consistent pass catcher and he runs his routes really well. KJ Duff is going to be that guy that's going to be the red zone threat against teams such as in Iowa that doesn't really give up a lot of red zone touchdown opportunities. They were able to really stay within that game between Iowa State because they completely shut them down in the passing game for the most part. Iowa State was able to take advantage a lot in the running game, but their passing game led by Rocco Beck was completely, I would say, contained for most of that game against Iowa. So KJ is going to be the type of receiver that's able to really be the final piece to that passing game puzzle that Rutgers have.
Yeah, 100%.
And seeing that he's already starting off the year well, being a leader in receiving yards currently for the team, this team offensively looks like they're ready for Big Ten play and look like they're able to make their I would say their statement in the Big Ten offensively, being able to not only be one of the leaders in the country on offense, they have as well has shown a very good special teams. They've been putting up a lot of points per game. 46.3 points per game so far, second in the Big Ten. 332 yards per game, 17th in the Big Ten. Rushing, they've been really good, top 15 in the Big Ten. Passing, 3rd in the Big Ten. These are really good places to start off the year right now, knowing that the challenge is going to get higher and the abilities of opposing defenses are going to increase as well. So offensively, I feel comfortable. Special teams wise, I feel comfortable.
Special
When it
teams
comes to
exceeding expectations.
For the most part, you could arguably say special teams has been the best unit that Rutgers has put on the field so far this year, whether it's Jai Patel breaking Rutgers' record for most consistent field goals made.
Still ongoing, by the
way. Punt return unit already having 3 punt block return touchdowns on the season so far, 2 of them being in the first quarter against Norfolk State. As that, you can honestly say that unit has been very positive for this Rutgers team, and it's going to play major come those games down later on in the year, especially those 2 back-to-back games against Ohio State and Penn State, and they're going to play a huge difference in regards to how much field position they're able to flip and how much they're able to make out of opportunities when Ethan and the offense isn't on the field, because against teams like Iowa, a really good special team play can really open up and change the momentum for those types of low-scoring defensive grind-out games.
I mean, it was the difference between going into the second quarter at a stalemate versus being up 13-0. And I just wanted to say too, you were talking about the offense and how efficient they've been. Ethan Kaliakmanis has the highest PFF grade in all of college football so far, all of FBS college football so far, among quarterbacks with 50 or more dropbacks. And this offense against Norfolk State, I have it here courtesy of Rutgers on 3. The top graded football players, for us at least, against Norfolk State, your guy, Mashoud Giwa, who LIU transfer, 91.7 grade, Ethan Kaliakmanis, 90.5, and KJ Duff, who's had a phenomenal year, 81.8. And Austin, how you doing, my man? Unfortunately, Adam is fired from the show, and that's why it is just me and Donovan today. No more Adam. He's just out for personal reasons. He'll be back, and he's doing okay.
Yeah, we hoping to see Adam next week's show. Last week I wasn't here. You two were able to hold it down, so I'm happy to be able to show my weight and be able to hold my weight for the group for the show this time around. Hosting you today, Gabe, and yeah, Mashoud had a hell of a game. I'm so proud of him for what he was able to show on the field, especially those 2 back-to-back plays in the red zone. One of them leading to
directly resulted in
leading them into a touchdown. He completely mashed his. I think he was mashing down a 3 tech, and he made a B gap defender turn it into an opposite A gap defender, which is something that Mashoud has been really good at so far throughout his young career. He's been really good in the running game. His passing, his pass blocking has shown more and more prowess throughout the years as well. But he's been especially being at 6'6", over 300 pounds. Being able to move guys out of gaps, being able to show that physicality. I even heard during the commentary, during the play-by-play commentary, I think it was the color coordinator was talking about that's the type of guys that Greg Schiano looks for in an offensive lineman. Nasty, being able to just handle his business and move guys out the way for running backs like Antoine Wayman and Deshaun. So I'm actually Deshaun Benjamin. My apologies for the blank out right there. But Mashoud had a really good game, and hopefully we're going to see more of that throughout the season. I know currently he was in the game due to Ben Needham being taking out the game. So Tyron Needham. Yeah. So I'm hoping to see maybe this is an opportunity for Mashoud to have his first ever big test against Big Ten competition and show what he's made of and show the world why he was able to end up on this Greg Schiano team, especially against being able to do it at home instead of being on the road, being able to be in a situation where you're able to get comfortable into being a starter in these types of environments, because going on the road is a different type of beat, being around almost 50, 60,000, the crowd noise and all that, especially at tackle, which is one of the harder positions on the field, to not only hear when a play is going on, but their role on how a play is able to be effective or not is just as heightened as well. So it's a perfect opportunity for this team, especially on the offensive line, showing how this offensive line has been overall dominant throughout the first 3 games. Yeah, so it's a big test.
I mean, like, no matter who we have at left tackle, whether it is Mashoud Giwa, whether it's Tyler Needham, or unfortunately Dante Chin just went out for the year, but whether it was him too, this offensive line has been, outside of the special teams, it's really between them and Ethan for the other most impressive unit, whether it's the quarterback or the offensive line. And, this is going to be a real challenge against Iowa, particularly because it's away. It's been 3 weeks, at the point that it's against Ohio or against Iowa, but since the Ohio game. But part of the reason we won that Ohio game is because we were at home. We don't get that punt block against Ohio if we're away, because we forced a penalty because of our crowd being so damn loud they couldn't hear each other, and so they executed the play wrong. And Coach Schiano even attributed that to part of the reason that we won that game, the 4th and 7 conversion and that play particularly. And Ohio, they're a formidable opponent, but if we're in Iowa, week 1, if we play how we played in week 1 against Iowa, we don't beat Iowa. They almost beat Iowa State, who is ranked, I believe, 16th, and Iowa just demolished UMass, whatever you want to make of that, 49-9.
Well, UMass, that game against UMass is kind of the same similarity of what Rutgers went
Sure.
up against in regards to Miami, Ohio, when it comes to just a team that's from a smaller group of five that just one is so much more dominant than the other. So I didn't really take
Yeah.
a lot from that Iowa UMass game. I did primarily if you're going to see the best that Iowa can offer on both the offensive end and the defensive end, Iowa State was that game for the most part because they played against a defense that for to be completely honest, is way more better than what they were last year in the Big 12. Just at that, so this Iowa State team is a team once come playoff seeding time. They might be one of the final 12 teams, to be completely honest,
Possible.
especially as that Big 12 champion, because
Yeah.
they do look like that. And
Well,
for Iowa, they so far this year they have not won on the road. They're going to have to go on the road again against a loud crowd in Piscataway, New Jersey, especially as a prime time 8 p.m. game on Fox. At that, I truly see that being able to have 4 home games to start off the year, seeing that this defense, especially as well, was able to put a lot of pressure on Norfolk State,
oh,
and
yeah.
they've been able to, I would say, improve more and more since that Ohio game week 1, where it completely looked the complete opposite of what we saw just this Saturday in regards to the defensive line not being able to put too much pressure on the quarterback, the secondary being able to get diced up left and right, the quarterback being able to get out of the pocket so effortlessly and not being able to be challenged when throwing the ball. You can really say, even though a lot of the odds makers are giving Iowa that favorited advantage going into this game in week 4, Rutgers has just as much of a say to show the world that this team might be somewhat legit. And this is the perfect opportunity against a team in Iowa that, for the most part, has been one of the better defenses in the Big Ten over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only thing I take away from Iowa UMass is that even though UMass is ranked like in the bottom 5 or 6 in the nation among FBS teams, they still allowed Iowa to score 47 points, and Iowa is probably a bottom 3, bottom 5 offense in the Big Ten. So that's what I take away from that is that, like, they score 13 against Iowa State, but Iowa State, as we mentioned, is one of the best defenses in the nation. But Albany, again, bad opponent in comparison to Iowa, but they put up 34 points. They put up 47 against UMass. So their offense was awake for those games. They weren't winning 24-0. They weren't winning, even 21-0, but they were winning 47-7, 34-7. So that's what concerns me is the fact that their offense, even against these lesser opponents, still looks awake. And scoring 13 against Iowa State, that's no guarantee. So when you look at Rutgers versus Iowa, are we going to give up 20 plus points to Iowa? Because that can't happen. Their defense is so good that I expect them to not shut out this offense. Because as I mentioned, we have the best passing offense in the nation with as many dropbacks as we do. But are we going to be able to score in the 20s? Hell, we might need in the 30s to beat them, given that their offense is awake. And that's sort of a key factor for me. Is everyone looks at our offense versus their defense. But to me, the side of the ball that wins the game for us is, or loses the game for us, is our defense against their offense, because their running back, who averages 7 yards per carry, is he going to be putting up 10 yards per carry against us? That's been our only weakness so far this year, is our rushing yards allowed. And the first 2 weeks it was from the quarterback room, but against Norfolk State, it was unfortunately Kevon King, 7 attempts for 59 yards and a touchdown. Xavier Evans, 8 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. Otto Kuhn's 5 attempts, 34 yards. You don't want to take away too many negatives against Norfolk State, but that's the one weakness that has persisted all year long is our rushing defense.
Yeah, the rushing defense letting up over 148 yards a game, going in against an Iowa team that has a running back that has 2 running backs that have 5 yards per carry, and Jazuin Patterson and Xavier Williams
Yeah,
being
Williams
the
is killing it.
7.2 yards per carry guy who's been primarily that big bell cow for this team. But both of these teams have rushing attacks and I would say in twos. Xavier Williams and Jasuin Patterson is that dynamic duo for Iowa compared to Antoine Raymond and Jashawn Benjamin for Rutgers. And it's going to come down to which team is able to stop the run. The thing for Iowa is they've been known for their epitome of their defense has been stopping the run. They've been one of the better run stopping defenses in the country so far this year. And that has not been the same for Rutgers, and that's going to be the biggest challenge or the biggest, I would say, objective for this Rutgers defense, being able to shut down this running game. We're not asking them to give up. If they're able to contain Iowa to, I would say, 130 yards on the ground, or I would say 120 yards on the ground, they have a really good chance of winning this game. But it's really going to come down to which offense is able to, for the most part, have a lot of consistency. Because when it comes to Iowa, a lot of the time, they like to be in defensive slugfights. And for Rutgers, I would say their biggest advantage so far this year has been the fact that they're able to score the football. They're able to score points at a very high rate.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of it sort of triggers a red flag in a way to me is you look at Iowa and their entire defense outside of strong safety Cohen Entringer and right cornerback Deshaun Lee is all seniors, and it's all redshirt seniors too, except for Aaron Graves and TJ Hall. So they have a lot of Zach Lutmer is a redshirt sophomore. They have a lot of experience on that defense, and our offense. It's in terms of experience. We don't know the status for CJ Campbell. He had a nasty injury in the first half, and we don't know if he'll be back. But Jashawn Benjamin did step up. But our offense, outside of the offensive line in Athan, is a bunch of underclassmen, and DT Sheffield, too, senior. So they're going to play schemes that these guys are familiar with. And I think our offense is going to face some adversity for the first time. And we're going to see if they can overcome it. I expect the first half for us to be trailing, maybe 17-10, maybe 10-3, 10-7. I expect us to trail at some point in this game, but I do believe we can pull off the comeback victory.
I don't see a Rutgers trailing the first half. I honestly see it as if they do trail, the game's going to be very low scoring. I would say in the first half it might be 7-3 if they are trailing, or for the most part, I can really see them going into half with it being 7-3 Rutgers, 7-10 Rutgers, 7-10 Iowa, or 3-0 Iowa. Because just by how I would say. Spacious points are going to be coming by for both teams, and I know in regards to Iowa, their defense is very, I would say, experienced, more on the older side of things. But Rutgers do have some, I would say, some experienced guys in their roster. DT Sheffield being a senior, quarterback Ethan Killicommandis being a senior as well, and those are going to be the guys that have to take charge and be able to be that voice for the team and be able to keep everybody on the same mindset throughout that game, especially against Iowa, because those two know how big these Big Ten matchups are, especially when you're able to take one of these games at home, because you have the highest advantage of all when it comes to these games at home, because you're able to possibly go 1-0 before you have to go on the road 2 times in a row.
Yeah. I mean, it's very 50-50. This is definitely, in my opinion, going to be not just the most important game of the year, at least up to this point, 100%. But
I feel like it's going to be the most important so far.
Yeah.
Up to because this game is going to really set the tone for what Minnesota is going to be, because Minnesota is going to be another challenge for this team, especially it's going to be another litmus test, I would say. Like Iowa and the Minnesota game are going to be 2 litmus test type of games for this Rutgers team to see if we're just exceeding expectations because they're playing lower competition, or if this team is something to keep an eye on for the rest of the year, because they still got to play Oregon. They still have to play Ohio State on the road, and they finish off with Penn State at home. 3 big teams that are going to most likely make it to the college football playoffs. So
Yeah,
seeing if they can able to take advantage against teams that are in that middle tier, B tier, like a Minnesota or an Iowa, that's most likely going to be 2 8 9 win teams once everything is said and done. Because we already know Washington is not going to be in the equation come late October, early November. They're one of the weaker teams in the Big Ten as it is, and
we have a
that's
crazy home field advantage though.
yeah.
Like,
But outside of that, I really don't see Rutgers having a challenge against
you don't
this
think so?
Washington team. Nah, not really,
Really?
honestly.
See,
Because
to
then
me and Adam, that's kind of a hot take because we've been saying that that's going to be another test just because of that environment. We don't have too many West Coast games, and historically, when we do, we tend to lose them. I know this is a different team. First off, because it's a pass first team, and we've never seen that from Rutgers. But like we've all the games we've had so far this year, they've all been home, and they've all been against non-conference teams.
I feel like the test is going to come Iowa, Minnesota, and once those two games go past, I can see Purdue being one of those trap games. Things are going well so far, but the big, I would say, exclamation points on the schedule in regards to these are games that are going to determine not only Big Ten seeding at the end of the day, but possible college football playoffs if they're able to make some shock the world. It's primarily that Oregon game, the Illinois game on the road. That's really the bigger game on the road that I've been looking at throughout this entire schedule, even though you are right in regards to Rutgers not really having a good showing in regards to West Coast games. But
Yeah,
Washington, Maryland, Purdue, those are games that Rutgers should be able to have the edge in, even though
Maryland's
Maryland has
crazy.
been a good team so far this year. But that's really going to be down the road in regards to possibly that's more of a week 11 type of game.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
right
and
now the focus is Iowa, and that's really going to set the tone for these games coming down the line, because this once this game against Iowa is done, they're going to run the gauntlet a little bit.
yeah. I mean, look, it's kind of funny because in terms of grand scheme of things, and not to get too political, but I kind of see this slate of games this year. If you're looking at it from like the 2024 election, funny enough, this the swing games this year are similar to that swing state kind of feel, where like you see Iowa, you see Illinois, you see Minnesota, you see Maryland,
It
you
can
see
go either
Washington,
way.
and it can go either way. And so there's a chance we win all of them, and there's a chance that it's the whatever the red whatever they called it. There's a chance you lose all of them if
I
you're
could really see the most likely reality of them winning 3 of those games, or splitting it. If
yeah.
they're able to win all 4, that's going to be
I mean,
major in terms of
yeah,
possible seeding in regards to a potential Big Ten championship, because that's 4 major Big Ten wins right there before they even faced off against those other Big Four teams. Because Illinois looks like a potential top 12 team this year.
yeah,
They have been really good so far throughout this earlier stretch of the year, and it looks like that's going to keep going. So, if Rutgers wants to butt out of the pack and be able to say, "Hey, we should be in those types of conversations with the Illinois that isn't the cream of the crop of the Big Ten, but they're slowly getting up there and trying to challenge those big time teams in Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State." Iowa is a great way to start off that potential. You have to respect what we have going on at Piscataway.
yeah. And you know, do you think that there are playoff hopes for us? I believe that that's what we have to be shooting for, right? If you're 3-0 and it's a new year, a quarterback dominant offense, I think that in everyone's head you have to say we should, like, everyone needs to say this could be a playoff team.
I feel like that's what's been growing more and more within the locker room, especially being able to get a lot of guys that saw major amounts of winning in the off season through transfer portal. Eric O'Neal being part of a JMU team that was just in the Sun Belt Conference championship game, and they just came off of a bowl game win.
Yeah,
North Texas coming off of a bowl game win with DT Sheffield. This Rutgers team is showing off a lot of guys that are now in their offense that performed majorly in their bowl game win against Kansas State. KJ Dove being one of those
oh,
players. They're looking at this as potentially we're tired of being that 7-5, 8-4 type of team. We have a chance to
Yes.
possibly become that 10-win team because they've added a lot of big pieces towards that goal.
Yeah.
And I will say, in regards to just the way they started off and just the way that they've been able to show off the success that they have had, they've shown that they're able to stick together and win close games in week one, whether you like it or not. Ohio is out of all the group of 4 teams. This is a really one of those teams that are a really good group of 4 teams. They were able to beat a D1 FBS. They were able to beat a Power 4 team in West Virginia just last week before they went up against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And they were able, and Rutgers was able to win a close one there. So we're able to see that this team is able to, I would say, win those closer games, those 1-score games. They're able to finish and win games in the fourth. And then 2 dominant victories, both of them where they showed a lot of success in the running game and in the passing game. And this defense is starting to be able to create turnovers as well. Elad was able to catch a pick that was just, it looked like a routine fly ball out there. There was nobody in his area to even catch that ball for Norfolk State.
I mean, that to me was probably more of a Norfolk State error. But if you're Jet, you're happy that you catch those, because if you're on defense, you're not training to catch the ball. You're training to swat it down. So anytime you get to catch it successfully,
those are the ones that start to build confidence when you're going
especially
up
when Bo
against a
knows,
receiver and you can think that I can get this ball because I've done it before.
Yeah, if you're Bo knows, then that week 2 interception that could have saved the season hopes, because it goes from a close Miami of Ohio game to, with Miami of Ohio 13 feet away from taking the 14-13 lead, to getting in good field position with that interception, going up 2 scores, and then dominating in the second half. So far, I'm happy with what I've seen. And let's bring our good friend Austin onto the show. Austin, how are you doing, my G?
What's up, fellas? What's up? Howdy, Donovan. Howdy, Gabe.
Howdy. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Austin.
I'm excited to talk to you too as well, Donovan, get your perspective. And of course, always love to hear Gabe's perspective. Even though Adam said Gabe needs some help, we still love him.
Yeah. That's why he's out of the show now. I had executive decision.
I see. Okay. Well, you and Donovan will make a great pairing. You'll be the new LeBron and D Wade.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll take that.
I was going for more of a Kyrie Luka, but
Kyrie Luka, I see you.
Either way, that's a good compliment.
Hopefully neither of us get traded in that example.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. If you do, just get traded for first round picks.
I hope so too.
But in all seriousness though, fellas, big week for Rutgers, playing Iowa. And this was one in the offseason that was talked about a lot for both teams, because especially for Rutgers here on this channel, if Rutgers wanted anything of their season, the 2 biggest games was, I even said, was Iowa and Washington, because you're going to Washington this year instead of them coming to you. The thing with Iowa, they remind me of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason why is Iowa seems to win the games that they shouldn't win. Like, a lot of people would think, Piscataway on a Friday night, it's going to be a Rutgers victory. And then Kirk Ferentz seems to win these games. And you're just like, how do they do it? And I tell you how they do it. Their defense creates turnovers, fellas. Rutgers cannot turn the football over because it sets the offense up at short field and it allows them to get the touchdowns. And thus, Rutgers can pin their ears back and start blitzing. Iowa. That's my take on that. But what do y'all think?
100%. That's why the running game for Rutgers has been really effective for them so far, because the way that they've been able to run the ball and be able to stay on schedule, it opens up that playbook that Rutgers has a ton. Instead of being in situations where they're going to have to be potentially 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8 against an Iowa defense that loves to not only blitz heavily, but able to disguise their blitzes at a level that kind of rivals some NFL teams. They have have really good defensive coordinators there at Iowa, a lot of former NFL guys as well. So they're able to really hide their pressures and being able to be in situations where you're in short yardage. You don't have to fully worry in regards to if those pressures are going to come or not, because if anything happens, you're able to throw underneath and be able to get a first down at least. So that's why the biggest compliment for Rutgers going into this game against Iowa has been that their running game has been effective so far, and it kind of matches what Iowa has been doing as well with their 2 running back system.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if you are a fan of Rutgers, you should not only attend this game versus Iowa because of how big it is, but I want to show you something else that just dropped from Rutgers football on X. This right here, the blackout is back. So we're not just going to be out there, but we're going to be in unison, looking fresh. And if you want to hear 100% do it. But that is another reason I am excited, because of SHI Stadium being the difference between Rutgers, Ohio specifically, and because of how much they showed out and stayed for a 60-10 win and a 28-point win against Miami of Ohio. This crowd is going to be another reason that we have a chance.
Yeah.
What is your take, Austin? I know you gave your take on how the game could go, but do you have a winner for us?
I'm sorry, but I'm picking Iowa to win this game.
You know what? I will say, though, when you look at the betting lines, they went from Iowa being a 3.5-point favorite to a 1.5, and from the over-under being 42.5 to now 45.5. So it looks like the odds makers are saying, hold on,
this game's going to be more scored.
Let's not disrespect this Rutgers offense. Let's give the offense a chance. So that's my.
I honestly feel like that's like they're saying that for both offenses, because typically when it comes to Iowa games, that over-under is around 40. Most likely 39.
Yeah.
So that means that they see that these both offenses are very potent and that they're able to score with ease. And that's really going to be, like I said at the beginning of the show, that's really going to be the difference, because I will say on paper, Rutgers defense does have a lot of players that are able to make those type of plays and be able to contain an offense like Iowa. But that's just before we see it on the field. If we're looking at what Rutgers able to bring up to their front seven that they invested heavily throughout the transfer portal last all season, and tuning this Iowa team that's gone up against real offenses in Iowa State, and they were able to keep that game very close. I honestly can see just SHI Stadium being the complete difference maker, and that's why I completely understand why the line is getting shorter and shorter, and I can see it tipping into Rutgers' favor by the time the ball is kicked on Friday.
Yes.
And here's my thing with this. It was really close for me for both, and I want Gabe and you, obviously, Donovan, both to know this. I like Rutgers. I want them to succeed, because ever since I found this channel and got to know Gabe and Adam, and of course I'll get to know you a little bit more, Donovan, as the season rolls on, I like Rutgers. They're a nice program, and Coach Shiano, I've always had tremendous respect. But it just feels like to me, Iowa's defense is going to be what the difference is. Kurt Ferentz takes pride in that defense. If nothing else,
he does.
He takes pride in it. He's going to create turnovers. I feel like And the thing about Iowa, too, is they don't do any exotic blitzes. That's the crazy thing. They just get home with the normal 4. They don't throw a 5-6 man at you. They're just pass rushing you, kind of like what the Saints do in the NFL.
Or the Eagles.
They just come They just come after you.
Yeah, it's interesting that you compared them to the Steelers, but when you think of a no blitz defense effectively pass rushing in the NFL, you think of the Eagles just because of what they did against the Chiefs. But you bring up an interesting point, and Donovan, he's a Louisville fan too. So it's like there's been some great matchups against us. So you've had some time to get to know us. You've beaten us. You've lost to us both times. There's been blowouts. There's been close games. So I'm excited to face you guys too again. I think it's next year, right?
Yes, Louisville and Rutgers will be playing a home and home. I believe we're going to Piscataway first, and then you're coming to the Ville, which I'm excited for.
SHI is no joke, man. It used to be.
It used to be until Greg completely flipped the program on the right side up again. And I do want to piggyback on what you said also in regards to how Iowa's defense takes a lot of pride in not only being able to rush the passer, but also to create turnovers. Ethan Kilikimanis has not thrown an interception so far yet through 3 games, and that's a
No
very
fumbles.
big positive. No matter what type of teams he's facing, it's really in today's modernized football, throwing the ball like he has been so far, completing 62 passes throughout 3 games, throwing it at least 35 times a game so far throughout these first 3 games, and none of them have been landing landing towards the opposition. That's a really big positive because that just shows that his decision making has been great. His processing of coverages have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And against a team against Iowa that's known for staying in zone, they're not really a man coverage type of team. This is an opportunity for Aiton to show that he's able to read these type of defenses and pick them apart, because I will say Iowa's defensive line has showed a lot of prowess, but you can't take out the fact that Rutgers' offensive line has shown the same thing. It's going to be a big question mark at that left tackle spot, primarily in the Big Ten, with the left tackle spot facing off against the best edge rushers overall in the country at that. But for the rest of that offensive line, there's a really big confidence that you have in regards to, if I'm Ethan Kilikimanis, that I'm going to have time in the pocket to be able to somewhat dissect these defenses and let guys that like DT Sheffield who are really good at standing in those open spots of zones, as well as KJ Duff, who's going to be that big body over the middle when they start going into possibly those too high looks or those middle field close type of looks, that is going to be able to catch the ball, whether Ethan's in pressure, dealing with pressure, or he's going to have a cleaner pocket. That's why I've been saying so far throughout this entire show, the offense and especially the passing game with these receivers. I know Ian Strong is still not going to be him playing this game on Friday is still to be decided. But the rest of this receiving core, including Ben Black, who showed a lot of potential against Norfolk State last week, being able to score a touchdown as well on a deep shot where he completely beat the corner down the sideline.
Yeah.
Rutgers has a lot of weapons that are going to be able to dissect this defense, and they have an offensive line that you can say can put up a really good fight against this Iowa team. So I completely can see why this Iowa's defense is going to get put to the challenge, and I really don't see it being, if they do win, it's going to be a very close game. I don't see it being anywhere more than a 4-point victory for either team.
I think it's 30-27 because, the line is 45.5. I still think it's going to be 30-27 because of how good our offense has played. And unfortunately, how poor our rushing defense is. We had against Norfolk State, we still gave up 12 first downs. We still gave up 128 yards rushing on 4.7 yards per attempt and a rushing touchdown. So that scares me because Norfolk State, obviously there's the Michael Vick headline, but they're not even FBS. I believe they're FCS. And so you look at Norfolk State having a solid offense against us, even though the 10 points don't really show that because of their special teams unit. But that's what scares me is Iowa is a rushing team. That's what they do best. And so I think it will be a shootout. I don't think it'll be 45, 46. I think it'll be 30-27. And I can see Iowa winning, but best believe if Jay Patel gets the final kick, he's going to make it.
And that's what I want to talk about too with you guys. There's a couple more key points I want to bring up.
Yeah.
And another one is red zone offense for Rutgers, because this is what Iowa makes their living at. And I know we're all college football fans here. We see it with our eyes. But what does Iowa do best? That is red zone stops. Every time when they are challenged, when their offense turns it over or they get the field flipped on them, the defense rises to the occasion. And I could see where Rutgers might be kicking field goals a lot on Friday night. And I just feel like the defense in the red zone will make enough stops for Iowa to squeak it out.
I don't know. That was last year, though. Last year, we had a lot of red zone in non-conversions to touchdowns, at least. Obviously, we got stopped against Wisconsin. We got stopped against UCLA. But this year, it just looks different. It feels different. And there's been some key players on offense that haven't been 100%. CJ Campbell, we don't know when he's going to come back. Hopefully he will come back. He hasn't been 100% yet. He's been solid, but in comparison to Antoine Raymond, he hasn't been 100%. And we thought that CJ was going to be the guy. It's looking like Raymond's the guy. Jashaun Benjamin's been really good. But you know who I'm waiting for to have a breakout game? Obviously, Colin Weber needs to be a little more involved. Like he was involved early last week, but not later on. But I'm waiting for DT Sheffield, who has had 3 solid games, but no iconic DT Sheffield game at Rutgers yet. He had the great play for the touchdown against Ohio, where he had the deep ball, and he got the secondary completely lost.
Yeah, the 60-yarder
touchdown. There was the touchdown against Norfolk State that got called back to penalty. But DT Sheffield, man, you are a great receiver, and I know that you will have some great Rutgers moments, and you've been fine so far. But you told us on the show you want 1,000 yards, you want 12 rushing touchdowns, and I'm challenging you, man. Those were some solid games, but now you're facing some legitimately tough defenses, specifically Iowa, specifically Ohio State, Penn State. Let's see you get that 100, 150-yard game, that 2-touchdown game. I know you can, and I know you will.
I wanted to add you've been Austin, you brought up how effective Iowa has been in the red zone defensively, but I will say Rutgers has done the same thing so far throughout these first 3 games on the offensive end. They've, compared to last year, they've had more red zone trips so far, with this year having 17, last year 13. So, and on 17 of those, they've had 12 touchdowns, one more than they had last year. They've had 16 touchdowns and field goals, so they've had 4 field goals to add on, way more combinations of scores than they had last year with 11. So they've been very more effective in the red zone so far this year. 70% touchdown percentage, a scoring percentage of 94%, only 1 missed opportunity so far in the red zone, and I think that was during the Miami Ohio game. They've been 7 so far in scoring percentage out in the nation. They've been top 10 in the red zone, and they've been top 20 in touchdown percentage in the red zone. So they've been in a really good spot so far against some formidable defenses. Ohio's defense being one of those formidable defenses. They were able to have their way against Norfolk State and Miami of Ohio, but this offense looks like they're able to turn those red zone opportunities into more 7s and 3s, because now going up against Big Ten competition, having a touchdown percentage of 70 shows that this team is able to get a lot of 7s, and that's going to be the big difference maker.
To add on to that really quickly, you can look at schedule all you want, but I got some news for you college football fans. We're not the only FBS team that has had an easy first 3 weeks. And
you play who's on the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the games have been out of conference for the entire FBS so far, especially in the first 3 weeks. And now, it gets real now. And, Ohio is still a team that they had a chance to tie the game against Ohio State in the third quarter. So it's not like we're facing – we face 2 teams that, sure, like we're out of their league. Ohio is not a joke, and the schedule is something that we can't control, but we still played exactly how we should against 2 of those teams.
Yeah, and it's just like Ohio's not that bad. They might be one of the better MAC teams, but
they look like they're going to repeat in the MAC. The way that the MAC looks currently, they look like the potential repeat champion.
And I wouldn't shock me.
The only other team that's been good. Buffalo's 2-1. Shout out to Jake Tim, former LIU Shark, that's currently on the Buffalo team right now. Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan look bad. Western Michigan only has 1 win so far this year as well. So it really, Ohio looks like they're having a clearer and clearer path to possibly being a repeat MAC champion. They showed that they're able to beat they're able to beat Power 4 schools. They did it against a West Virginia team that beat a really good Pitt team coming into the game.
Yeah, if Ohio's in the SEC, if Ohio's in the SEC, if Ohio's in the Big Ten, they're not last.
No.
No. And what I want to say, too, is this a couple more things, is for the people that are expecting an offensive shootout, Just a
You got the
warning.
wrong
This is not
game.
going to be your game.
You got the wrong game.
Yeah,
I think it'll be 30-27. That might not be in the 40s, but I still think 30-27 is significant.
I honestly, I feel like the first team to score 24 points is going to win this game.
24,
I feel,
21.
I feel like 24 is going to be that magic number if you're trying to look for offense, but you're not high scoring in Iowa football, or just that's an oxymoron right there. In
You're
itself.
also looking at Rutgers defense that has disappointed so far.
And what I will say to this too is, guys, is my final score is 19-16 Iowa. And it's just like, it's one of them. There's not going to be many scoring.
It's going to be a lot of punts.
Scoring. Yes.
Wait, so
like if you are a special teamer, this is your game.
Rutgers has one of the better special teams so far in the country.
Not just this year, but the past 4 years.
That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm giving it to Rutgers primarily due to that they've been able to make a lot of noise on the special teams side of things. The block punt against Ohio showed that Ohio wasn't able to get their correct punt call in, and it led to a block. They were at North Fork State dealt with the same thing as well. It gets noisy at SHI, and especially. They've seen how effective they have been on that punt return, punt block unit. I know Iowa's going to not really bring a lot of people down there, which is going to lead to potential breakout returns because they're not going to have a lot of people to cover those kicks, primarily because they see that Rutgers can mess around and block a kick and completely turn the game. And knowing how Iowa and their head coach has been so far, that's why he's one of the big winningest head coaches in Big Ten history. He's going to look at that special teams matchup, and he's going to play that conservative. So when it comes to Iowa punting, especially if they're going to be, let's say, they start off at the 25 and they don't really get that much yardage, and they got to punt around the 25 to 30-yard line, around that range, and they're still in their own territory, expect on those punts not a lot of people coming down to return. They might have just a two-gunner look, but I don't see a lot of punt returns that are going to be stopped, and I don't really see a lot of punt coverage when it comes to Iowa, primarily because they got to respect the punt block of Rutgers.
Yep.
And Donovan, you bring up a fantastic point, but we can also flip this for Iowa too. This is how Iowa beats you. I tell anyone that listens to me, they punt it and flip the field on you, and they force you into mistake because a lot of times they wear on you. They just ground on you. They beat you, and you get frustrated, and you make that one mistake, and then voila, they've got the ball at the 5-yard line getting ready to go ahead and win the game or possibly tie it. And I feel like with Rutgers, they're relatively an experienced team, so maybe this won't be the case for them. But if they happen to get frustrated, that's when Iowa is at their best. That's when they do their best work.
You know what? Frustrating Ethan Kaliakmanis this year does wonders for him. He got frustrated against Norfolk State, and it was the first sign of negative emotions that I saw of him all year. And he was 12 of 20 at the time, and he completed 8 straight passes for 180 yards for the rest of the game. So I think maybe for other guys, it could frustrate them a little bit, but Ethan in frustration is a match made in heaven. I loved it. He looked like Kobe when he got frustrated.
Okay.
Yeah, and just being able to show that your quarterback is able to withstand that adversity. That's why I was saying, yeah, Rutgers has a young offense, but their skill positions have experience. They have C.J. Campbell and Antoine as well, Antoine Benjamin. My apologies.
No, you're good.
CJ Campbell. I know CJ Campbell might be hurt, so it's going to be him and Jashawn Benjamin for the Iowa game. Yeah. Both of them being transfers, coming from one of them being FAU, and then what Ethan's able to bring as a senior, DT being able to take control of that very young wide receiver core as well as a senior. They have guys that are going to be able to withstand that adversity and keep the rest of the team afloat and just keep their focus on that main mission. So that's why I truly, as well, if there's going to be frustrating moments throughout this game for both teams. I'm not going to say that Rutgers is going to be able to fully go out perfect and be able to run their full first 10 play script with ease. I completely believe that this game is going to get frustrated. You're going to see an infamous moment of Greg Schiano chewing out either a referee or a player, and it's going to go viral by at least the second quarter. But I just know once the fourth quarter is going to come around, especially when it comes to both teams, we're going to see the type of grit in what these teams are desperate in regards to. If this team is what we think they are and they can potentially make noise and potentially creep into I'm not looking at college football playoff, potential Big Ten championship type of range where they are able to get wins against teams that other teams that beat these type of teams typically end up in that Big Ten champion type of conversation, or we're going to see a team that crumbles. And that's really what's going to come down to. That fourth quarter is really going to determine for both teams whether if this season is going to be their year or if they still have a lot to build off of.
Yeah. Austin, let me say one quick thing here. And this is sort of a hyperbole, but in life, when you're angry, do you cope through the crack pipe or do you cope in the boxing gym? And I think Ethan's the kind of guy that he copes in the boxing gym. He turns that anger and he makes something positive out of it.
And here's the
for
thing
monetization reasons, I'm hoping your answer is through the boxing gym.
Yeah. Don't worry. So far,
I will say this, and Donovan, you could speak to this being the guy on the football field as well, but it's also good for your character. You learn a lot about yourself in those moments. If there's anybody that ever has a doubt about you or they ever question your character, if they ever say, Donovan, you're a great player, but I don't know if you have it in you. I don't know if you have that grit or that passion. And then you go out there the next play and you show them and you give it to them, and that answers their question. It sometimes could do a whole whirlwind for the team. They see how you play. And same with Ethan. Ethan, how he went out there and he was like, you know what? If there's anyone that ever questioned my grit, my passion to be here, I'm about ready to show them. They messed up.
I feel like this year has been Ethan Kyle Commandis' revenge year, and especially that's why I'm looking more at the week after Minnesota, being a former Minnesota transfer, seeing that Minnesota is currently undefeated as well, going back to Gopher Stadium where he started off his college career at. This is really the year for Ethan to possibly show the world that he is who deserves to be in these conversations in regards to quarterbacks. Because so far this year, outside of a few QBs like Marcel Reed, you could give Garrett Nussmeier for a couple of games. Carson Beck is easily top 3 in regards to that. You can say Joey Aguilar as well. Ethan has the opportunity to make his name heard. Outside of Carson Beck primarily, and I would say Joey Aguilar and Marcel Reed, there is no other big name quarterback so far in the FBS. It's primarily in the Power 4 right now.
I mean, there are some
outside of names, but the names are just based off the hype, just like a Bryce Underwood, Arch Manning, guys that came in with high hype.
I mean, Julian Sayan's playing really well too.
Sayan as well, he's in that list as well, and I would say Drew Aller as well. Drew Aller, Carson Beck, Julian Sayan, those 3 guys. The rest of it is open season. So this is a really good opportunity for Ethan and this Rutgers offense to show that this high scoring isn't just a fluke because we're playing against group of 5 teams or FCS types of teams. They are able to do this in the Big Ten, and being able to have this opportunity at home before these 2 big games on the road, before they get to go back home again against another big team in Oregon. This is a really good blueprint on what they can try to do for the rest of the year.
Donovan, you remember that comparison I made a couple of weeks ago, and I got some heat for it from a certain fan base. I think I got a sneeze. How many? Oh, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interceptions. What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know SEC Twitter isn't happy.
Yeah, you know who doesn't do that? A certain guy in Piscataway that played under PJ Fleck 2 years ago. Just saying.
And I will.
One of them has 6 so far in the year. Another one has 0, and the one that has 0 is currently in the red and black.
Just saying. All right. Anyways,
I will say this though, guys. And a couple more things I want to add to this is the thing is too. Let's just say, because it is Iowa, I could see this. If Ethan's 11 of 23, having a bad game, but he goes down and wins it at the end, that's a character building win. And sometimes you learn about, a lot of people might criticize him, but a lot of people will commend him and say, you know what, Ethan? You didn't play your best, but when Rutgers needed you, you did it. You went against an Iowa defense who everyone has tremendous amount of respect for, and you took them down, and you scored the game-winning touchdown. You showed us something today. And I could see that happening. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a possibility?
I could see this game being kind of similar to, I'm making another NFL comparison, but kind of one of those Jalen Hurts type of games where it doesn't look pretty in the stat sheets, but it can still end up in a win. Just look at last
100 yards. Eagles. Still got the win.
Still got the win. It's going to be one of those games where Ethan is not going to be having the sexy completion percentage where he's going to be completing 70% of his passes. It's most likely going to be a game where he's completing half of his passes, if he's lucky enough, 60%, but primarily it's going to be from that 45% to 55% of his passing range.
Yeah.
So a game where he's 12 or 24, possibly 17 or 32, something like that. It's a possibility. And it's going to come down to if he's able to still wire in and still play that great amount of ball that he's shown throughout these first 3 games. Because I know it's going to be an ugly win. Whoever wins this game, it's going to be ugly.
You know what I think he has to do? If he does go 11 of 23, Austin, I think he needs to go 11 of 23 for 240 yards. He needs to be throwing the ball downfield. And that goes for whether we have Ian Strong or not. Because KJ Duff, he has had some of the most impressive catches that I've seen out of a Rutgers wide receiver. And he's had a few end zone, a few toe tapping in the on the sideline.
The one-handed catch on the sideline, those are the type of plays and the type of plays that Rutgers have that makes me a believer that they can get over that 7-win, 8-win hump. And that's why I really see them putting up a fight against Iowa.
I mean, Ian Strong can do that kind of stuff too. We haven't seen it too much. And DT, I'm still challenging you to be elite versus solid because I know you can be. But KJ Duff has, in my opinion, despite what the numbers say, been the most impressive Rutgers receiver this year.
100%.
And here's the thing, too, guys. And a lot of people say you get drafted off your stats and your potential and everything. This game could be one of those games, could be a character building draft. Like when coaches and scouts look at Ethan on tape, they could be like, you know what? Against a Kirk Ferentz defense, Ethan had it when he needed it. And it's a character building draft stock. We're looking at it for this year, right? But this could be for Ethan's future as well. Yeah. Not to put even more pressure on it.
This is not just a draft stock game just for Ethan. I feel like this is a draft stock game for KJ Duff as well. This is going to be a draft stock game for DT. Yeah. This is going to primarily be a draft stock game for Eric O'Neal because he came into this season being top one, being on that 100 East-West Shrine Bowl list. Yeah, but he has not faced up against offensive lines that have the stature of a Big Ten. Most of his games last year have been against Sun Belt Conference, and he showed that he could dominate the Sun Belt. But if he wants to make it to the league and be in that NFL, the NFL is full of Big Ten type of offensive linemen, specifically at tackle. So this is going to be really this, I would say, that scouting game for not only just Eric O'Neal, but for the rest of that defensive line as well.
To put it into perspective, I don't know how much of last year you remember, but Holland Pierce to me was our best player on Rutgers football period last year. He didn't even make the Eagles practice squad. And to me, that says something about the NFL competition because Robert Longerbeam, he's still on the Ravens roster, but he's out for the year. I believe it's a torn ACL. And then obviously Monangai is the Bears RB3. Outside of that, there's no Rutgers talent on a football roster from
Isaiah Pacheco?
From last year.
Oh, from last year. Yeah. I thought that was overall.
Yeah, no, I know about Pacheco. I know about I forget his name on the Ravens. Or not the Ravens, the Rams. So but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead, Gabe. You're good.
I was gonna say, what mute on me? I was just saying that it's not just a draft day kind of game. It's a UDFA game too for a lot of these guys. Are you gonna get picked up after you get undrafted? And I'm not gonna name names for that because I know all of these guys want to get drafted. But there's a lot of players in mind on both ends of the football that you're not gonna get drafted. But
Mm-hmm.
these kind of games are going to be the reason why you get a phone call immediately after the draft.
Mm-hmm. And what I want to say is last thing, and I think this is we've talked about it a lot, and you guys have broken it down a lot. Great analysis of the game. Like I've learned so much about Rutgers from you guys. It's unbelievable, both of you. Even Adam, even in his
Even Adam.
I guess
I'll make sure to add the even part next
Shout
time.
out Adam.
yeah, Adam. But let's talk about the coaches real fast. Kirk Ferentz versus Greg Schiano. You got two old timers, both gritty, stubborn as all get out of it, and I think that's fair to say for both. And they're winning coaches in their programs, and one's the winningest coach in Big Ten history. Which congrats to Kirk Ferentz, something to be extremely proud of.
And Greg is the most winning in Rutgers history.
That's why I'm really saying these two, they're going to be instances of shots on the sideline where they're going to be chewing out one of their players.
Greg's going to hit
That's
his.
why it's going to be a chess match in regards to the coaching of this game. That's why I would love to see how well Kirk Ferentz is able to show his prowess on the road, because outside of the Iowa State game, where they had some procedural penalties to start off that game, the best this offense has looked has been at home. So this is really going to be a big test for them, and I know Kirk Ferentz is going to be able to keep his guys ready for this, as well as Greg Schiano. This is the type of game where you really want to see how well your team can play. This is really one where everybody is looking to see if this is going to be their year. That's why I really see, when it comes to both squads, we're going to get the best effort out of both of these teams, and it's really going to be whoever wins and loses. It could change the momentum of their season. It's really one of those games that can set up the rest of the year.
I have never stood up in the history of this show, but you saying that they're going to go to the key sideline moments has me thinking of this signature Schiano pose.
Yes, I know it's happening. If a fourth down ends up being a missed pass, if a potential coverage happens between Kirk Ferentz, if a blitz gets picked up and then leads to KJ Duff catching a ball 28 yards downfield over the middle, it's really going to be a chess match, and that's really a thing for football fans that are really interested in those type of games where it's not just which defense is better, it's more about which scheme is better, and that's really what's going to come down to for both of these teams, because on paper they even up very evenly. They match up very evenly. So that's why I really believe that the spread right now being now at 1.5 for Iowa, it's going to flip in the other direction.
You think
by
so?
Friday, 100%.
Because Iowa's the only team that's faced a ranked opponent so far, and they held their own. And by the way, if you're superstitious at home and you know that Rutgers hasn't beat a ranked opponent in 13, 14 years, thankfully Iowa lost to Iowa State, or else they would be ranked and we would lose to them. If you're superstitious, you got to thank them for losing to Iowa State.
And what I think, Donovan, you mentioned this. This is a great point. The chess match. And what I think this is, a lot of people think when you say chess match, matching defensive pieces, substituting in and out. When I think of chess match, who's going to pull out that one razzle-dazzle? Who's going to be gutsy and go for it on 4th and goal? Who's going to go for it 4th and 1 from the 30-yard line, on their own 30-yard line? Who's going to be that coach? Or instead of kicking the field goal, let's get that touchdown. Even though we're up 7, we want more. Who's going to take bull by the horn, so to speak, and make that one lethal knockout play?
100%.
Like Jason said, there is no excuses for this team right now. Seeing that they're starting off in a way better way than how they started off last year when they were 2-0. But it just feels like this offense has completely increased. And you're 100% right. Who's going to be making that big time risk decision that if it goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, you have a lot of questions to answer during the post game presser. And I truly believe Schiano's going to be that guy. So far throughout this entire year, he's been going for it on fourth down at a very high clip to start off the year against Ohio. He went perfect on fourth down, 4 for 4, and just last week against Norfolk State, he went 3 for 4 on fourth down. So I can really see, especially just how effective this team has been at converting on third down and fourth down, which you can't win games if you're not able to convert, no matter what level of football you play. And that just heightens as well against the Kirk Ferentz defense that's been one of the better teams on third down at that. And you have to give some love to Rutgers as well, especially what they showed throughout the last 2 weeks. They've been very efficient on getting their defense off the field. So that's why it's really going to come down to if Kirk's going to roll the dice or if Shiano's going to roll the dice. And whoever takes advantage on most of those opportunities, whether it's on a third and long or a fourth and short, that's going to be the difference in who wins this game.
100%. And Pit Snipe,
I agree.
You are 100% right. No excuses. Who gives a F that we're the underdogs? Who gives a F if it's supposedly an Iowa identity type of game? Rutgers, I know that you guys who are watching, the players who are watching, I know that you want to make the playoffs. And even if everybody thinks that's ridiculous, even if we're not projecting you guys to, I know that's your goal. Well, guess what? If you want to make the playoffs, you have to beat Iowa.
It starts right here.
This is the first game where AP voters, where critics, where coaches will look and say, oh, they beat Iowa. This is the first game. No matter how good Ohio was, this is the first game that they're going to look at if we win.
And listen, I want to say this too, as kind of like a cliff note. Indiana football made the playoffs in year one under Kurt Cignetti. Who the heck says Greg Schiano can't do it with Rutgers? Who the heck says he can't do it? Define all the odds. Like you said, Gang.
Kurt Cignetti is a really good example of that, because I remember last year I was talking about this on the radio show here. Shout out to Sports Shark Tank Live 5 to 6. I was just on that show right before I got onto this show on WCWP.org and Spotify. I was talking about Kurt Cignetti when he started his first day being there in the press conference. He says, "Look at my resume. I'm a winner." Same thing that Schiano has brought back to this Rutgers team. We saw for the last couple of seasons, we've seen that this team has been having a consistency of winning seasons. 75, 75, 75, bowl win after bowl win. So this is a really good opportunity for both Greg Schiano and this Rutgers team and just overall this Rutgers football community to show that they're ready to take that next step. And just like what Kirk Cignetti did last year, making a lot of heads turn, saying, oh, shoot, Indiana, 10-win season. They haven't seen that in a while. It's one of those situations that Greg Schiano can create for this Rutgers team, and it's really just going to come down to the players, because I know they're ready to take that next step, especially Ethan, who's been on this team for the last 2 years, Gus Salinkas, who's been on this team as well for the last couple of years. They want to see this team finally take that next step, because they just created a solid foundation for the next coming of Rutgers players.
Yeah, and Oscar, you make a great point, because the exact motivational speech I just gave to any players watching is the same motivation that Iowa has. The Hawkeyes, first off, who knows if they even respect us? They might look at our record, say, look at who they've played, say this is same old Rutgers, etc. But for the players that do respect us, you know damn well that they're going to be saying the same thing. They're going to be saying we need to beat this program, because this is a program on the rise that is 3-0. And even if they don't make the playoffs, even if they don't make it to the Big Ten championship, they're still a team that's formidable. I think it's a case right now of formidable versus formidable. So which one will work?
And I want to bring this up. This kind of applies to Rutgers too. But 2013, the 2012-13 season, Louisville beat the number 3 team in the country, Florida, the team who just won the SEC championship. Florida was 28.5-point favorites in that Sugar Bowl. No one gave us a chance to win that game whatsoever. Everyone said
Eastern Michigan.
22.5 dogs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. When you got a group of guys that believe and that want it more than the other team, you can make it happen. And for every naysayer out there that says, oh, Rutgers ain't good enough, they're never going to be good enough. The heck they are. If they believe and they put their heart out on that field, they can accomplish anything. 2018 Purdue beat Ohio State, knocked them out of the playoffs.
Insane.
Who says
I
Rutgers
remember
can't
that
knock?
game. I remember that game.
Northern Illinois.
That's the game that honestly got Rondale Moore drafted.
Northern Illinois over Notre Dame.
Yeah, that just happened last year. It shocked the world as well.
Exactly.
We could talk about just
The
last week
underdogs
in
win.
regards to Vanderbilt just defeating South Carolina, a top 15 team that was looking to possibly break the top 10. And
I tell you
Vanderbilt
what,
kind of in the same situation that Rutgers is in right now. They're seeing newfound success, and it's starting to become more and more consistent. And they want to take that next step.
And
so, like, I honestly see that. And I know that as a player right now going into this week, because we experienced it last week with Eastern Michigan, but coaches are instilling in the players that we can get this one. And that's really what the mindset has been throughout, I will say, this Monday, watching the film, most likely Tuesday and Wednesday when they're really going to be going at it in practice. They're going to keep on instilling that we can take this one. And that's going to build more and more to Friday's kickoff.
I tell you what, the most motivational win, in my opinion, this year was Mississippi State over Arizona State. Just seeing that winning touchdown pass live, that was beautiful.
And here's the thing, too, fellas, and this goes across all sports. Momentum and confidence is a real thing. Like, people don't believe
it. It makes teams that go from quote-unquote average to overachieving really fast.
Yeah, Mississippi State went 1-11 last year, and they're 3-0 this year.
True.
See,
Vanderbilt.
like
I keep on bringing up Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's 3-0 for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing too that I will say: we all may think that these teams that we think are out talented, Alabama is going to out talent Mississippi State. Well, guess what? All it takes is one game. Rutgers, they may not have as much talent as Ohio State or Penn State but Rutgers can win that game because all it takes is Drew Aller or Julian Sayin to throw a pick six or to throw a fumble or a blocked field goal, and Rutgers is up 21-3.
Which we do very well. And
speaking of blocked field goals, I will say the only thing that also gave a red flag to me outside of
extra point,
the Norfolk State Russian attack, Rutgers getting 2 extra points blocked by a Norfolk State team. That's very, very that's something that they're most likely in their meetings today. They're shutting that down now because putting that on tape is a bad look, especially against now they're playing nothing but Big Ten teams that are going to try to take advantage of that.
No matter what, Greg Schiano is going to have something to talk about after Friday. Something sad to talk about. I mean, there will be hopefully more good than bad, but
those post-game interviews between those two coaches are going to be content that feeds us for the next couple of weeks.
There will be things that Schiano has to instill in his guys on Saturday, Sunday, and moving forward, no matter what.
And I will say this too, guys. I mean, I'm excited for Rutgers football. And Donovan, congratulations on beating Eastern Michigan. I actually I seen some of that game, believe it or not. And I was actually looking for you out there on the field. I was like, where's Donovan? Where's he at? He had a couple nice blocks. So, but congratulations, and Rutgers, good luck against Iowa. You're going to need it, as this is going to be grimy, and it's going to be like a 1st to 20 wins. So,
I'm just going to say, Jason, the motivational speeches are going to come when that Oregon game comes around.
I might have done a little too much preaching there, though.
That's when I bring out my Michael Irvin.
Word. I'm going to need that because I think I just did a little too much preaching for week 4 against the 50-50 team.
but thank y'all for having me on. Donovan, Gabe, and of course Adam, wherever he's at. Always thank you all, and go Scarlet Knights and go Cards, baby. We're going to beat them Knights next year.
Go Cards, indeed. Hey, I don't know about that. I said indeed to your first thing. Not that. I don't know about that. But anyways, we will be giving our final thoughts here in just a second. But before that, a quick word from VOCFB CEO Mark Rogers.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole. showstopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And as we head into week 4 against Iowa, we are both looking forward to it. Donovan, do you have any parting message for this team and any final words?
I would say my final words is I'm excited to see more of Mshu Giwa. I just know that the best is yet to come, and seeing what he showed on tape against North Fork State, I'm hoping that this week of practice, he keeps balling out and he's potentially able to get that starting spot and be in a situation where he's going to be able to play in that Iowa game. But overall, my biggest thing right now, the challenge is going to be on this defense and on these pass catchers, especially KJ Duff. They're going to be facing off against their first ever legitimate competition, especially for KJ since that bowl game against Kansas State last year. So I'm excited to see if they're able to step up to the plate, because I just know Friday, 8 p.m. game, Fox, 1 million people going to be watching at least. So there's going to be some eyes on this team, and this is a potential game that can change a lot of these players' lives, their career trajectory, and just this team's overall trajectory for the season.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being the topic of discussion across social media too. I'm hoping that Ethan is looking forward to it. My final message is here is to good health. Ian Strong and CJ Campbell, I hope to see you guys both back on the field very, very soon, particularly CJ. I'm really hoping that news is good news and that, if anything, he's questionable and misses a game at most. It was a scary injury, but it wasn't a gruesome injury. So here's to good health. Anything can happen. We have the depth if he is missing, but obviously you want your transfer running back who is the projected RB1 to be playing. And Ian Strong, most catches through 2 weeks. Love to see you back out there. And to this team, we've lost some guys. We've lost Doug Blue Eli. We've lost 1 second here. We have lost Dante Chin. We've lost a few other guys, Teray, Fama Teray, unfortunately. But we have depth this year. I saw it in the second unit against Norfolk State. We had a great showing in the second unit. Shout out to Dino Kaliakmanis getting his first touchdown reception. Shout out Michael Thomas III getting his first touchdown reception.
Shout out AJ Sarace.
AJ Sarace getting
he was throwing some dimes.
He got 1 of 3 or 0 of 2 to start, and he got sacked. And then he went 4 of his next 5, got 2 touchdown passes. So second unit and health. Those are my 2 things going into this week. And outside of that, you know where to find us every Monday at 7 p.m. Adam will be back next week. I was just joking. He's not actually kicked out of the show. He will be here, and he will be obnoxious as always. Just kidding. Love you, buddy. And if you want to defend yourself, you better get your ass back on this show. And we're going to be here again to post-game to give our discussion and thoughts. And outside of that, if there's not anything else, go Scarlet Knights.
Go Scarlet Knights.
All right. See you guys next week. See you guys on Friday.